Hello, I'm Adam Mason, Minister of Counseling Services at Houston First Baptist Church, and I'm here with my pastor, Pastor Gregg. Gregg, you and I have been doing a series on Let's Chat, talking about some different mental health issues. And during that time, you mentioned that you and I have had a couple of conversations, and that you've gone and seen a professional counselor yourself. Would you mind telling the people a little bit more about your journey?
Yeah, thank you, Adam. That's so good. A lot of times people think the pastor's all got it all together and doesn't need anything, and hopefully, I'm walking with the Lord. Don't worry, all that sort of stuff. But I encountered a time where I called it the buzz, is what I called it, and it really was for like years. And you and I went to lunch and talked about it, and it was just I was moving so fast and wanting to do a good job, and I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a pastor. None of those things do I want to fail at. And it just was, I was operating too high, and the cortisol was flying in my life. The adrenaline was an addiction almost, and it just was a buzz in my heart. And I felt like I couldn't get on top of it. And what I had to do is really slow down, and make myself slow down. I began when I would get to my office, I would prepare in the morning. I moved from caffeinated coffee to decaf. I'd put on kind of nice music to prepare, just low-key music. I would take off my shoes and put on house shoes in my office, and I would prepare, and I would just try to bring everything down. What I found is in my personality and in my, way of thinking, so to speak, I had to work harder at bringing things down than I had to do at bringing things up. There's some personalities, they gotta kind of get up for it. I'm usually up for it, and I had to bring it down. So that was a little on the buzz that I would say wasn't like full-blown anxiety, but it was like being anxious and being worried. And then, when you're leading an organization of any size, but, the size of our church in particular, you never know what's going to happen. So it felt like there's going to be a threat around every corner of something that went wrong, or somebody that had a complaint. And not because we're a complaining church. We're a great church, love our church. But it just was this fear. It was like what you mentioned a couple sessions ago of just my body couldn't see the difference between fear of a snake on a path, as you were talking, or an emotional thing. And, when you want to please people, there's a lot of things to be afraid about if you're going to be in leadership, because you're not going to please everybody. So that was a little bit of the buzz, is what I called it in my life, where that gas pedal just kind of got stuck and I had to pull back.
Those were great behavior changes, but what about in terms of the emotion and the mental mindset that you're not doing it right?
Yeah, that's great. I started journaling more because I felt like I was having negative thoughts that were going one way, and I was worried about doing it right. Read the book by Larry Crabb, The Pressure's Off, was a great book
Great
for
book.
me. And to realize that 2 plus 2 doesn't always equal 4. I didn't have to always get this thing right. And instead, I had to be faithful and then let God make the math problem what he wanted. What I found in my life is actually giving it to the Lord brought greater blessing upon my life and even my leadership in the church. 2 plus blank, trusting God, started equaling 56. It started going like that. And so that journey spiritually as well, where I was, it was almost for me, it was like having to trust God with a Sabbath. And what I mean by that, the principle of the Sabbath, that if I come off the responsibility and trust him with the responsibility, he's going to take care of it. And that was a good spiritual journey for me. Journal, Bible, prayer, talking with a counselor, working through some of those things, realizing my performance. For a long time, I kind of felt like my worth was based in how well the message went the last week. So if it was a home run message on Sunday, man, I'm rocking it till about Thursday. And then, pastors always say Sunday's always coming. So I got to do it again.
Right.
And I got to do it again. And I got to do it again. And instead say, no, Lord, you got to do it again. You're the one. I'm just going to operate in my giftedness. So.
Okay. I mean, you've mentioned that you're a type A person, and people who know you well aren't surprised by
Right.
that self-awareness. And you have a background in business as well. So there's a lot within you that's very focused on outcome. It's very focused on achieving goals. And what you've just told us is this amazing process that you learned in this journey, that the blessing is not in the outcome, but the blessing's in the obedience to God.
That's right.
What do you say to the other people out there, members of the congregation, that have that same focus on outcome, to let go of that control, let go of that focus maybe a little bit more,
Yeah.
and grab a hold of God's obedience? What?
Oh, that's a great thing, because the biggest fear is you're going to let go of the outcome and it's going to go bad. I would say you let go of the outcome and it actually goes better, because you're more healthy in it, and you're preaching from a place of, well, my words, I'm preaching or living, working, that'd be the better way to say it to everybody, the working from a place of security, not a place of insecurity.
Okay.
And so when you step into that business meeting and you step into that leadership moment, or you step into that employment moment, and you step in secure in Christ, identity, security, and you're worthy in Christ, and then now from that place of security, now you're doing what you do.
Okay.
Instead of a place of insecurity, I'm going to do what I do to try to get something back, and being able to let it be a place of security. And so I would say that outputs are important. You want to do a good job. I don't want to get up here and have everybody asleep in the middle of the message. Somebody doesn't want to be a business person and lose a bunch of money for the company. Outcomes are important, but the process in which you get to the outcome doesn't require a full dependence upon you 100%. And it doesn't require going at 100 miles an hour. You'll actually get there faster if you change the oil every once in a while, if you sharpen the saw and slow it down. And that's what I had to do. I had to slow it down. I had to sit down, take a deep breath. I did something kind of unusual, but I'm a tactile person. I need to write things down. 2 things that I did. I have operated by a to-do list my entire life. So I have a to-do list with A's, with B's, with C's, and then with A1, A2, A3, B1, B2, B3. So I'm gonna do that. Well, my A1 every day for the last countless years. A1, pray. And the first thing I do when I get to the office, and you could do this as a business person, you do this as a teacher, you don't have to do it like I do it. I have a prayer kneeler in my office. Obviously, I don't get in trouble for praying at work. Other people might. But the first thing I do is I pray. And I actually bring my things to do list into my prayer time. And then from that prayer time, I do my things to do list. And I found, Adam, my things to do list is shorter when I've gone to God first than if I just jump in the day, for this reason. My things to do list is based on my dysfunction and my need for approval.
Mm-hmm.
His things to do list is based on his kingdom, his impact, and his glory, and really my well-being. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit shorter. So I pray, I plan, and then I proceed. Mm-hmm. Before, I was proceeding, and I'd start trying to plan a little bit, and then I'd say, "Dear Jesus, help me." And I'm still having quiet times, but how I got into the day. The second thing I did that was very helpful to me, and I don't do this all the time, but this was a phase in which I did this. I wrote down 3 stages of energy needed to go into a situation. So stage 3 is like, I need full-on energy. Mm-hmm. Stage 2 is, yeah, okay, be there. Stage 1 is total chill. I found that I was going into lunches and appointments with friends and connections. I was always at stage 3. And then I would write down and I'd be like, this lunch with my wife, with a friend, some lunches are going to be stage 3. But this was stage 1. This is a stage 1. I don't need to go in hyped up. This is stage 3. This is a big deal. I need to be a little hyped up on this one. This is, be prepared, be ready. It's a big deal. And those things helped me to put a dial on my energy, because I was always on, not 3, I was on 4. Kelly and I have a joke in our marriage. I have 6 speeds. She has 4 speeds, and most of our life is lived in 5. So I'm always like, let's do something. Let's call somebody else. Let's do this. And she's like, so she says a lot of times, take the batteries out of the boy, is what she'll tell me. Take the batteries out of the boy. It's just time, because I'm the Energizer Bunny. I'm going to keep hitting that drum. And so I'm in 6 speeds. She's in 4. Most of life is in 5. So I have to be aware of an introvert wife that's got a little less energy than I do in those realms. She's got to be aware of an extrovert husband that's got a lot of energy in here, and then to be able to make that happen. So self-realization, that's not some new age term. I'm just saying, understand how God wired me. Mm-hmm. Trusting the Lord with that and trusting him with the outcomes has made a huge difference in my life of not feeling pressure for performance 24/7.
Yeah. But making that shift from outcome to obedience, that ultimately we're being obedient to God's will. It seems like you may have written a book on finding God's will.
I did, yeah.
But
Right.
yeah, as we summarize that for the folks listening, what would be the key things you would look at as we make the shift to obedience? And people say, well, obedience to what? What would be the top three things in finding God's will, apart from the praying?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think in finding God's will, first it begins with your heart to want to find God's will. And when you get to a place of brokenness, suffering, anxiety, depression, whatever, however you want to put your categories together, it forces you to go find something better than what you got right now. You know what I mean? At some point you go, time out. I can't have a heart attack doing what I'm doing. I can't be freaked out about this. I can't operate at this high of speed. My back can't hurt every day. Right. I can't have acid reflux all the time. I can't wake up at 2:00 in the morning every day. Something's got to give. And that obedience, now my heart goes, Lord, I want what you want. But
that's brokenness, right?
That brokenness.
Not just trying to find a better strategy.
That's right.
But abandoning your strategy.
Abandoning it's surrender.
Not brokenness, surrender.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's surrender to say, okay, Lord, you've given me these gifts, you've given me this place, but Lord, I'm surrendered to you.
Okay.
It's up to you. Houston's First Baptist Church is going to go on with or without me. The gates of hell will not prevail against your church. Your workplace, your family, is being a mom, being a dad, being a friend, being whatever you are, student even. Lord, I give it to you.
Yeah.
And so
that's good.
That becomes that obedience.
That starts with the heart, starts with surrender. And the surrender would be followed by
get a drink of water. I'm not used to being interviewed, I got to get my drink of water. I would say the surrender would be followed by the steps.
Okay.
So now,
the faith.
Yeah, the faith, the walking it out, the time in the morning to journal, to think about what's the path I'm really thinking, what energy level am I really using, what do I really need to get done today, not just busying myself. Because, I was kind of receiving in my mind awards on how busy I was. That meant I was important, how many frequent flyer miles I had, and how many places I'd done this or that, and ideas that I'd had, and things that have gotten done. But that kind of that challenge, moving into the surrender, moving into the steps of really walking it out. And that's where meeting with a counselor was very helpful. Our lunches were great, but since you're in the church and I'm kind of ultimately your boss, it would be a kind of weird relationship if you were trying to help me every time. And so you recommended somebody that helped me in a great way. And, I had some situations that just drove me to my knees, and I'm grateful. And I would say just maybe, in closing, then I'll give you the last question since you're the interviewer now. I would just say to folks, allow yourself to go through the crucible, because there really is life on the other side, and it will be better. So the hard things I went through, the hard heart work that I've done, I'm really grateful for, because I really am. I don't have the buzz every day anymore, and I had it for years. I don't have it anymore. Things don't always go well. I handle it better. I'm more at peace. So there's a blessing on the other side that comes through going through that valley.
Yeah. Don't fear the brokenness.
It's a good word. Yeah. And when you think you got to be perfect, you do.
It's true.
That's the last thing you want to have happen.
Yeah. So you heard Pastor Gregg, trade your buzz for your brokenness.
Yeah.
Follow in obedience to God.
That's right.
And walk it out day by day. Thank you again for listening. We'll talk to you again soon.
Hey, thanks for watching. To find out more about Houston's First, you can subscribe to our channel, or you can go to houstonsfirst.org.